Austin American showroom at Apex here. So welcome, gentlemen. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well, Trevor. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So I can see beside you, you've got the latest version of your Aqua Rose Batch Cleaner. You've made a few updates to your batch cleaner. So maybe we can talk through a couple of these, starting with the newly designed spray bars. What have you done to the spray bar and how does it look now?
So we've actually lengthened the spray bar inside the machine. Kind of just show you real quick. And what it is we've actually allowed for better coverage to the corners, and then actually angled our sprays a little bit more to make sure we were getting much better coverage. We've also changed our manifold attachment in here, which is actually going to allow us to retain more of the pressure and basically less fluid loss from the manifold where it attaches.
Right. So have you changed the nozzles, or have you changed I guess the angle of the holes that are in there?
Yeah, the angles and basically how long the wand is, but no, we're not moving away from our coherent jet technology. We're still sticking with that.
Okay. So you've also improved the size of the heater for quicker cycle time. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, that's correct. So we were using a 2 kW heater, but we've actually upgraded that to a heater that's 3 times the size, actual 6 kW. So what that's going to do is when we bring fluid in, it's a much shorter heat up time. And then where it really kind of shines is in drying, because as you guys probably know, in batch cleaners, that's usually the longest portion of the cycle. So by getting a larger heater in there, we can heat it up to temperature quicker and basically evaporate that water off a whole lot quicker.
So what's that done to your cycle times then?
Well, we've actually reduced our drying time by about a third. So we're well below an hour now for a full wash, rinse, and dry.
Okay.
And that's 100% dry.
Right. Keith, you got any questions from it?
No, I mean, that's a significant difference, and must make a lot of difference to your customers. Is it something that you can retrofit, or is it something that's only going to be on the new systems?
That's a great question, Keith. Unfortunately, it's not retrofittable. You know, it could be something maybe that we could do, but it's really very labor intensive, probably not something that could be done in the field. So I would say, it won't be really offered as an option to do on the older machines.
Okay. Yeah. And cleaning is becoming a bigger and bigger question now, with a lot of people doing conformal coating and people worrying about calf and a whole load of other things. So is that going to make changes or differences to the chemistry that goes inside them? I know it's not really your game, but obviously you have to work with those companies to make sure the stuff doesn't eat your seals and all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, and that's definitely something, everything we use in our machine is always compatible with the chemistries. The chemistry companies do work very, very well with us. So when they are introducing something new, they'll send us samples as well as, all of their information on it, so that we can make sure that everything is compatible, but generally not an issue. One of the things that we can say that's, really kind of a plus from the chemistry companies is that they, everything they're designing nowadays seems to be working at lower concentrations and lower temperatures, which is obviously going to be better on the machine, but it's better on the environment as well.
So Todd, I believe that you've also updated some of the sensor technology, the digital sensors inside your system. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
That is correct. So we've actually made a move to a better resistivity sensor. It's the one we use in our higher line pre-conformal coat cleaner, our Mega Ion. So we just noticed we have much better results and much better accuracy. So what we're able to do during our conductivity monitor and as well as our Rose test is actually add that extra decimal into our microsiemen measurement, so that we really are much more precise and can monitor a little bit better. And then we've also changed our pressure sensors in the machine. So basically all of those are digital now versus being kind of an old mechanical style. Same thing with our RTDs for our temperature controllers. All of that is now all digital, much easier to control, much easier to troubleshoot, less connections, things like that. So much more reliable than the old technology.
Well, this is quite an overhaul of this system, actually, because you've also updated the pumps. So, I mean, there's almost no part of this machine that you haven't updated in the last short while.
Well, and that's true. Now, we actually did stick with the same pumps, but we did add a new pump. So we added a drain pump on the machine as well. And it was something that we were kind of lacking before, at least we thought we were lacking in. And we were just gravity draining. And what we constantly keep hearing is about cycle time, cycle time, cycle time. So we really wanted to make all of these improvements to try to increase, or well, I say increase our productivity and reduce our cycle time. So the drain pump, rather than waiting 2 minutes for a gravity drain, we're able to actually turn that on and drain the machine out very quickly in between cycles.
Right. So just to be sure, I mean, do you use a closed loop system for cleaning?
And that's a great question as well, Trevor. We're kind of founded on EarthSmart technology. We do prefer everything closed loop. So we build this machine closed loop, but we do offer other options as well. If somebody already has their own, DI supply and a drain, we do build it in an open loop system as well.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, one of the big things at Apex this week is the whole talk about digitization, connectivity, CFX, etc. How well connected is the Aqua Rose?
So the Aqua Rose has always been very well connected. I mean, of course, we data log everything is standard. All the information is there. Plus, we have connectivity through USB or through Ethernet. Whatever the user desires. But what we've added, or what we're currently working on, let me put it that way, it's still kind of in some software development, but we are trying to come out with the first CFX compliant cleaner, and that should be released hopefully by mid-year. Right.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess, Keith, you had a question about their set. I mean, it's great to see how companies are adapting to the new environment, and you guys have basically created a studio there for customers to come and visit digitally your showroom and actually look at the machine up and close. But before we go into that, you had a question about the set, didn't you, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It looks very professional, but I was going to ask Todd to explain the 2 bottles of alcohol that seem to be quite prominent in the video that he has online.
Well, I think I'll take that one. So this is my first trade show participating with Austin American Technology, as I took over as the Director of Business Development. So when you go to a trade show in person, so much of it is really built on building that relationship, having those face-to-face conversations, and maybe you top the night off with a cocktail to secure a nice new relationship with a business partner. We don't have that luxury right now, so it's purely virtual. And we are still working through the kinks of trying to make this virtual trade show as efficient as possible. So Todd and I do tend to spend a lot of hours just sitting here waiting, figuring out what the next step is going to be. So while we polish up the machine, maybe we just need to have a cocktail or two to make sure we get the job done right.
Right. So I thought you used it to toast your clients, once they've made a purchase or something like that. But it's not new actually for cleaning companies to be using whiskey. It looks like a bottle of Jack Daniels there. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. Yep. Good eye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because obviously the chemistry company Kaizen, they've been using Jack Daniels on their booths for a long time because, of course, it's manufactured in Tennessee. Interesting choice. Maybe that's the choice of the cleaning industry.
Well, there is one downfall, I'll have to admit. When you have the Jack Daniels sitting in a booth in your own demo room, the other coworkers want to come around and take a taste, as opposed to having it to attract people to your booth.
Yeah.
So what has the general feedback been then, Todd, from customers for this style of presentation? Instead of being able to come and physically visit the factory or physically visit you at a trade show, what is the feedback you've been getting about this virtual system that you're working with?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question or point maybe to point out. We've all made adjustments and changes throughout, over the past year. One of the things that we first saw was that our demo room that we invested in was so valuable to us when we could have customers come and visit. And then all of a sudden, with a flip of a switch, we no longer have that asset. So we, kind of quickly got together. Of course, with bringing Justin on was part of that as well. But we really decided we wanted to become virtual. So we've invested in the cameras, the microphones, the lights, everything we could possibly do to make a very, very high quality and professional presentation virtually. And what that's actually done for us is we've been able to secure more and more in person or at least via Zoom presentations. And, our closure rate has gone way up, a wonderful asset to us. So regardless of the curveball that COVID threw us, we were able to kind of catch it, I guess, and run with it. And, we've kind of haven't looked back since. We think that the virtual way is going to be kind of the way that things will continue, at least for a while. I don't, nothing's going to replace that face-to-face, but, we're doing the best that we can right now and actually have been, very successful with it.
Todd, can I just ask you, the closure rate that you have is fantastic. Is it mostly batch machines or inline systems now?
And that's a good question too. To be completely honest with you, our #1 selling machine for 2020 was actually our X30 Stencil Cleaner. And the reason for that was that, or at least that we believe, is that more and more people are trying to get to a more automated process with less employees on the floor. So a fully automatic stencil cleaner that cleans, rinses, and dries with basically a little touch from an operator really kind of made our year. But batch cleaners, inline cleaners, we sold an inline cleaner last week. Batch cleaner, I think we got a PO today right before we started this this call. So we're once again, we're kind of all over the place. We do offer several solutions. So I really could say that our stencil cleaner was obviously our most popular, but the rest of our equipment was probably an even mix.
And I think a lot of that also has to do with, technology is advancing. I mean, technology has been advancing over the last century at a pretty rapid pace. And we've seen that expedited at an even more rapid pace in the last few years. So even when we talk about the advancements we made here, it's all about the new technology that is coming out where you can get more done with less. So even upgrading the heater 3 times, you're not actually upgrading exponentially with the amount of energy that you use, which is making these machines much more efficient. So when we talk about our other machines, maybe we run the machine with a pump that's half the size of some of the other technology, but that technology is being outdated as energy efficiency and the overall cost of running the machine is becoming more impactful in the decision process.
Right. Yeah, I can see stencil cleaning, which is automated, being a big attraction to a lot of people because you get complete consistency of the clean product. And as stencil apertures get smaller and smaller and smaller, then a very clean stencil when you start your production is absolutely key. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you're spot on there. And then one of the other main things too is, as Todd mentioned, having less people on the floor. With this new COVID world that we live in, and we'll see how the adjustments happen with the vaccine over the next few years to come. But right now there is a priority on having less people on the floor, more social distancing. And when you can get one stencil cleaner in there that could possibly operate 3 separate lines, you're cutting down on the amount of personnel. We don't want anyone to lose their jobs, and I don't think that's the point we're trying to make. But from a safety standpoint, it allows you to maintain productivity with less people.
Right. Okay. And final question, Todd. I mean, do you think that this model, this demonstration, home demonstration model, is going to be continued once we get back to normal, once we get back to the normal trade show situation? Do you think this is going to be something that you're going to be continuing to do from here on out?
I think the short answer is yes. We definitely, I think companies are looking at it from a point where they don't have to send somebody, they don't have to spend the money, for travel to actually go see a product. But there is also something that I think is lacking from actually watching it go through an inline cleaner and seeing it clean, picking it up and feeling it when it comes out the other end. Right. Doing your own measurements on weight to make sure it's actually dry. Looking at it under a microscope, make sure it's actually clean without anything, any magic behind the scenes. So, so I think there's still going to be, so people that are going to come, but I kind of feel that it's probably going to be maybe a 50-50 mix of staying virtual and then also possibly some in-person things. I mean, I know for one, I love to travel. And, you know, I've been claustrophobic sitting here, I think, for a year now. I'm ready to get on the road and go talk to some folks. But you know, I may not represent the general public either.
No, but I think you definitely represent the two people that you're talking to this side, Tom.
Exactly.
Well, I think also your question actually brings up a big point. I think this actually predates COVID. I mean, when you look at a lot of the sales processes across all industries, from buying a house to buying a car, even prior to COVID, a lot of those experiences have gone fully online. People are buying houses through, Redfin and Zillow, and people are buying cars through CarMax without even seeing them in person. So I do believe Todd is right when we talk about we'll never get rid of the in-person sales tactics. But I think what this does is it actually allows you to speed up the sales cycle, you know, really get a lot of that investigating done on the different machines you want to consider for purchase, and then meet in person to really finalize that deal. But as far as the investigating and the research process, I think that really is going to be sped up and done virtually.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for sharing your showroom with us today. Great to see all the updates that you've managed to do during the last year. And we wish you every success with your system going forward.
Well, thank you so much, Trevor. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for your time.